Hello, all. Welcome back to another episode of Koot podcast series. This is Shankar. I'm a founder of Koot, and I'm going to be the host for today's episode. Over the past decade, technology has become a deeply embedded in every aspect of our life. Now, it is from the very basic things like how we access our financial services to healthcare and education. Along with the rapid growth, it also poses a lot of challenges. The question really emerges like how do you use technology for inclusiveness, right? How can it really solve the problems of real life, like accessing financial services, healthcare, education, and so on? And also, very importantly, how to build technology which can improve the life of people rather than improve efficiency of only businesses. So I think again give a background like today we are at an inflection point, right? I think we see AI is really taking off, data centers and various other things the technology is improving. But on the other hand, if we see the real life problems still persist, right? The urban congestion, the traffic problems, the pollution, water, or even the gender inequality and so on. We can keep on telling. This does not get disrupted through the technology. So today we would like to discuss saying that how we can use the technology for good, right? I think that's a moot point of today's discussion. And to discuss about this, we have a special guest with us, Mr. Naren, who is the GCC head of Sagent. I think to give a quick background about Naren, I think obviously he will tell about himself. He has started Sagent GCC in India from a small team. Now he is expanded and powering lot of technology work from India. And before working in Sagent, he earlier worked at Mr. Cooper or Rocket, and also earlier worked in HCL. Naren has done fantastic work. He's a seasoned technology leader with more than 2 decades of experience. But what stands out about Naren more than anyone else is his commitment towards contributing to the society, especially again the concept of technology for good. He has contributed a lot for educating people of underprivileged section and so on, right? So without too much of ado, I would like to invite Naren into our podcast. Welcome, Naren, to our podcast.
Thanks for having me, Shankar. I know we have been trying to do this, and thanks for the wonderful introduction as well. Thank you.
Great, Naren. No, Naren, I made a small intro about you, but what do I like to know about your background from the instead of a typical, where you studied, I would like to understand how you got into the topic of technology for good. What made you, what motivated you, or what's the inflection point for you to start doing that, right? I think you can tell about your profile, but how this has come into your life.
Um, Means most of us would have started as engineers, right? So, and I'm a strong believer that engineers are greater empathizers, right, in problem solving, and means outside of the medicine, right? Means the profession is that, and great respect for them. But every individual touch point that we day in day out that we do are focusing on improving other people's life. So that is where it started, and my belief is like we got to be useful. How can we contribute more, right? Value add. That is the mindset that I always carried. And my specialization, because I've been into this technology related space, um, obviously where the technology can be used for a common cause or a common good, right? And and what is the guiding principles for technology for good, right? We have to all align into goals, right? And that is how typically we have been tuned to. And for me, my guiding thing was when I was really looking into, okay, let's get into how can we use technology for social good. And I ended up having a course called Age of Sustainable Development by Jeffrey Sachs, right? Means we have to go on everyone. I would recommend everyone to go and take that, right? It's free course, right? What does it mean is the specialty of the professor is he's defined the millennium goals, right, earlier. And now what we call like sustainable development goals, like the 17 goals, which has been acknowledged by United Nations and then is a goal for every individual citizen or human being in the planet, right, to sustain. So when we are looking, okay, what is your expertise as a human, and what skills that you have as a technology, and what you can do better, and that is where you have your go-to or guiding light, right? So I took that, and that's a broader area, and you cannot go and cover all the 17 areas. So specifically, and I'm a believer in education, right? And so there is a goal, like goal number 4 is like providing a quality education. That's a one of the goal. And then and because I moved from US to India, and particularly Chennai. Chennai is my native town. And also, how can we give technology for sustainable living? Because I'm going to live in the city, and technology can be used for living experience, right? You cannot just complain that this is not working and all. So then I chose, okay, let's focus on education where I'm truly passionate about. That is goal number 4. And building a sustainable cities is also an important thing. That is goal number 11. So I narrowed down on focusing on my technology. Let's focus on that couple of areas, right? So that's how it started. And now when I remember you were asking my introduction. I've been a technologist, right, all my years, and lived close to uh, a decade in US. And then when I had an opportunity to move back to Chennai, that's when I joined Mr. Cooper. Very privileged to work with amazing people, right? Uh, they were instrumental on taking care of my transition of me and my family uh, from US to India. It's also the acceptance of working, right? It's not easy when you're starting a new GCC from scratch and no one knows the brand in India. The trust in the leadership is very critical, and I was very much privileged to have my leaders and my peers for have very critical journey. If that didn't go well, I'm not sure how would have continued right here, right? So that's very important. So a special mention for Mr. Cooper, now Rocket leadership as well, right? And that's how the journey into the GCC started. This is in 2015, based out of Chennai.
Got it, Naren. Naren, before going deeper into tech for good, can I know what kind of work you have done so that the people will know the perspective of your contribution, like, especially why it is relevant. As we are discussing before the podcast, everyone has a kind side of it, right? But they are not able to really able to bring it up because of the various commitments. So you are also working in an MNC, you have a global responsibility, but what kind of things you have done, what kind of impact it has created, and how much time you have spent so that the people can relate, hey, how can I also contribute, Naren?
Yeah. So one is technology. The second thing is, as you rightly said, every individuals, every human beings wanted to help to others, right? They wanted to help others. They are kind, right? I strongly believe in that, right? Everyone wanted to do that. Uh, there is also the life itself will take them into a different time and all this things. So all we have to show is what are the opportunities and avenues that are there, right? Few of us would be passionate to go and extend to identify that, but it is also responsibility of those people to break it down, right? Means I think we all would have gone through the Six Sigma case and all these things, right? If we are able to clearly break it down in 1 hour, what you all can contribute, in 2 hours, what you all contribute, in 4 hours, what you all can contribute. If you're really okay to give that 1 hour for 3 months, how can if you think and break it down, it becomes very easy for anyone who wanted to contribute. Okay. So that's our approach because we have a full-time job and busy, right? To start with, as I earlier mentioned, I was focusing on two goals, right? First one was I started associating with various educational foundations, right? Um, I was actually amazed and humbled by the individuals who have contributed to their lives for providing education for underprivileged people, right? Uh, means Since I've been working with Martaram Foundation very closely, right? Now, means from 2017, I've been volunteering. Now I'm also part of Martaram Foundation core team, taking care of training and placements of the kids that we actually onboard to them. And I also worked with Agaram Foundation earlier as a volunteer, contributing on skill training, means taking the technology and training the kids so that the gap between the job employment, the employability skills, right? Improving the employability skills so that they get jobs. And then work with another foundation like Team Everest. What they do is they actually ensure that the kids get fees getting paid and they get the career, complete the education, and then the training happens, right? And also during this exploratory part, I also had an opportunity to work with Khada Foundation, right? She is an inspirational person. Um, the Geeta, Ms. Geeta Dharmarajan, means so passionate person, and I've never met an young, means people will say that young in mind, right? She's one of that person, right? So, and she has a tech, means the pedagogy, skill, all those things, and contributing to different schools and school kids. Some of the support was around technology, like building a portal and all those things, right? So that is one part of it. And also, I also wanted to mention another individual called Vijay Anand. Okay. So he used to run Chennai Open Coffee Club. Okay. So when I moved back or when I used to travel to India, I used to attend that. Very passionate open community in Chennai, right? So Vijay is also very passionate on using technology for good. And he was actually having a forum called Tech for Cities. Okay, so one is education and the cities. So there's a Tech for Cities kind of a forum. It is basically volunteers, tech volunteers, coming and understanding what we can do better for the cities, right? Uh, so Vijay and another gentleman is like Vignesh Annamalai, right? So he's not based in Chennai, but some of the work that he has done is like amazing. He's based out of Tirunelveli, and if you go and touch any of the social impact initiatives from using technology, I think he would have contributed, right? And also, uh, as I was talking, thanking the earlier association with Mr. Cooper and Rocket, the team itself was an amazing team, right? They always wanted to do more, right? And one of the important thing for a leader is identify what the people are very passionate, and most of the technology people are very passionate. You need to create avenues for them to go contribute, right? Uh, we know the Maslow law of like the principles, right? Giving the ultimate satisfaction for them. And all the people that I've worked with, even in the technology journey, wanted to always give back, right? So when you're surrounded by people who wanted to make a difference, who wanted to actually support others, right? You will be forced to look for those opportunities, Shankar. So, to answer your question, it is not that inspiration for me to go and find. It is all about the inspiring people who are surrounded by you, who wanted you to genuinely be successful, right? And wanted to contribute. I think those are the key drivers, right? I don't want to mention the challenge of mentioning names. We shouldn't miss any names, right? But Vijay and another individual called Aragu, right? He was part of a smart city in Chennai that time, and he was a city innovation officer. So we used to do a lot of programs, and one important initiative was during COVID, right? So the touch point, right, where there's very minimal touch point, there's a lot of volunteers employed by the corporation go across the cities, right? What they do is they go and measure some of the fundamentals, right? Basics, health metrics, the SpO2, the pressure, all this they go and measure, right? And think about Chennai as a city broken by 200 wards, right? and they have people assigned to individual wards. And that time, if you remember, by the time you go do the paperwork, collect the data, and then come back to the control room, the data changes. It's spread, right? So Araga came with an idea and also amazing offices, right? Some of these initiatives wouldn't be possible without offices, right? Some of the finest offices were instrumental in understanding about how to use technology, right? So what we did was Dr. Albi was there. He was a medical officer, right? So we actually created a very simple one-pager app where the volunteers will be going and just marking it, but the data is integrated in the control center, command center. And as and when the volunteers go and capture the data, right? What is the need? What is an attention? Are their health metrics are good? The actions will be taken from the command center immediately. There will be a person who will go and watch out for them before they get exposed or they get spread, right? So we call it like home quarantine. It's in you can Google it. It is available, right? So that is one thing that I just want to mention. But where I'm actually going is Vijay, Vignesh, and then Arag, and then our own team like Deepak, Suresh, and a lot of designers, right? Karthik, Sabrish, all the people actually traveled for any of the initiatives, right? They're very strong in technology, but they all always wanted to give avenues. And when you really understand the problem statement and when you break it down, then the folks will get it done, right? So so that is how I didn't mean having the goals and then focusing on who are the people who are aligned and passionate about it. And then when you go and define the problem, then you'll have a lot of people. When you break it down, there is a lot of those like-minded people who wanted to come and contribute, right? And I can clearly say that none of the people uh, would have claimed, who would have come for any recognition. That's the beauty of it. None of the people wanted a recognition. It's nothing like that, right? They genuinely wanted to put technology to use and for scale, right? When you are from a technology background, right? Definitely, Shankar.
Yeah.
You would love to see the technology to be used at scale.
Yes.
And the only area that you can see that scale is working with government. Okay.
Got it.
So, and you'll feel like I don't know, you'll see very motivated, inspiring when you put into use something and it is actually you making the people who are using it and saving lives, right?
It's really
So,
satisfying. Yeah.
and that I mean, I also wanted to give credit to the government, right? They recognized, they invited all the people, they recognized, uh, they did that, invited the government officers, all this thing happened.
Got it. So, Naren, very interesting point. I think there are multiple questions coming as you are explaining, but one thing I would like to ask is, I think you mentioned about the COVID, but beyond that example, could you give few examples of the tech for good being utilized in education, being in other areas, so that we can take some leaf, out of it?
Yeah, so well, one of the project, right, I think is a good continuity, right? Because we are talking about technology to scale, right? So all these foundations were looking for some of the small technology area, like uh, putting the story into their website or portal, right? One interesting other gentleman that I wanted to mention is Shivraj sir. He's heading the startup team, right? He when so during the COVID time, Vignesh was actually building technology internally. Shivraja sir was trying to use this technology for Madurai, right? So so there is a network of people who are ready to build the technology and then put it to use for their respective cities, right? So when we built something, so we were giving this tech and there is an anchor there and they are trying to do. That's how I know Srinivasan sir, right? So then he connected with an initiative called Nan Mudalvan, right, to a ma'am, Innocent Divya ma'am. like amazing, one of the finest officers that I've interacted and worked for. Um, so basically, the non-Mudaran initiative is like it's like a MO, I mean, just to put MOC of all MOCs, right? With putting a student into the center, right? What all the things that we have to do, student, not from a job perspective, but from their future career perspective, right? So there's a psychometric assessment that happens, understand the interest of the student. There are mandatory courses and there are optional courses, right? So we work with all the educationists or the pedagogies, curated the matrix again. The scale, I was actually amazed. Means we have not been working for last couple of years actively, because it's like you have an idea and then you need to create a POC, right? Experiment it and then hand it off, right? That is what we did, right? And I can say that every year there are like close to 14 lakhs people are into the platform. Okay. But what the beauty was, uh, when we started, we were rolling out to engineering students, right? A student can actually go and select any courses that they wanted, right? But before that, the g- the non-Mudaran team worked with various other stakeholders from industries, academia, to put some of the courses in the platform. Okay. So, and from a command center perspective, they'll be able to see uh, from overall state level, district level, yeah, zone wise, university, student wise, and then see the journey of the student, right? And a critical anchor here was also Vignesh, right? I was mentioning about him. So he was also an architect part of these things, right? And we had another gentleman, like, and then we had like 10 to 11 members from Mr. Cooper that time volunteering this, right? There is also a note about it, right? During the launch. And that now they extended to all the student community, right? And then what they did was, after the system in place and the foundation has been done, they were able to create multiple schemes and policies for different segments of students. Students who are dropped out, there's a scheme. Student who couldn't afford like a fees, there's a scheme. So they were able to create multiple vehicles to take the students to complete. And so there's multiple scheme names, but the underlying platform data was that. But we have not been working actively in that because we are all volunteering, right? So after handing off to the team, I think that team is an amazing team. And that is what I really loved uh, working with that government team. A lot of people, as a professionals, we'll all be very skeptical how to work and what to work, right? The beauty is we have to be very clear, understand the company policies and guidelines, right? What we can interact, what we can do, what we can commit. We have to be very clear, right? Understand the company policies and be very openly and vocal about to the people, the stakeholder that you're going to work with, right? Have that first conversation. That is very important. Level set the expectations on the other side, right? Whether the NGOs or the government or anyone whom you want to use it, and they will actually happily acknowledge, and they will create the area to engage with you and get the best out of you, right? So when you define and put the do's and don'ts, right, that's a guiding guidelines, and then they will honor it, okay? And you go and solve it, okay? That's how it is. And I remember we were interacting about putting data security and the data orchestration part. All the things were instrumental. Right? I think very good experience is all I can say. Right? When I look back from a city's perspective, uh, one project which I wanted to mention, I'm very glad that technology was not put to use, right? I'm very happy a technology that we built is not put to use was burial ground management system. Okay. Because when
Okay.
COVID too, was at the peak, city faced an issue of, if you remember, a lot of people, unfortunately, I mean, they died, and they have to, without notice, they will actually go to the cemetery or the funeral area, right, for crematory. Uh, so what happens is they have to wait, right? It is very unfortunate and sorry. And during that time, COVID was also there, right? It spread. So an officer named Mr. Megnath, right? Amazing officer. See, when I was saying all these officers' name, right? They do their day job, like how we do, right? And after 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m., they'll start working with us, giving requirements. Okay. That is a
Very
level of
interesting.
commitment they actually work and engage with us. So he was actually giving a requirement and challenges, right? Oh, people go and wait. They shouldn't. It's an honorable thing that we have to do, right? So at the end of the so we were trying to put a schedule. People can go, they can book through an app, they can message, they can call through WhatsApp. Schedule a time where they can go where there is a minimal impact, right? It was covered in newspaper, but it didn't go live. And by the time the second wave went down, okay, that's how I see it. Um, so means, as I was mentioning, right, you would hear many names that I'm mentioning because all these people are the people who inspire and then work along. Okay. So education project and then cities, right? I think I'm going around on the same area. Shankar.
Yeah, definitely, Naren. Very, I could really see the impact of, what. But as you're mentioning, Naren, one aspect keep coming to mind is it looks like all our side means like you are doing your day job and you are doing in a dedicated time. But how a tech for good within a corporate environment itself, right? I think the whole moot point we say is, hey, how can we design products which can improve the lives of people, right? Or within the corporate environment. So could you give certain examples of how you all work together as a corporate rather than you did your side project, Naren? I hope if it's a real clarification is required or how do you see?
Yeah. See, I would say I was mentioning about the do's and don'ts, right? The guidelines, understanding the company policy sensitivity, right? Different companies have a different internal policies. So you got to be very clear and understand. You cannot just go randomly do without acknowledging the company's guidelines and policy, right? Right? We cannot do that. So level setting the expectations within the organization is very important. Okay. When we are talking about every individuals, every human beings who wanted to contribute, as a leaders, what they actually also see it, they also wanted to do. They also wanted to create this avenue for the employees, right? But they're always in the risk, right? What happens if a risk, any issue happen, and it cannot be a risk for the company. It cannot be a liability for. We all think around that angle, right? That's where the initial conversation with the senior most people are very important. Okay, so having that conversation with the leadership in your organization and very openly and communicating with the officers also is very important, or the people, the foundation stakeholders, or the whomever you are working, right, who are beneficiaries. Because you have if the guidelines and principles are not being accepted, you don't need to work there. I mean, you don't need to contribute. You have an avenues where people can accept and then you can still contribute. Okay. So where I'm actually going is understand the policies, procedures that your company is defining. Have a very clear do's and don'ts defined with your leader, right, and the HR team. And then be very vocal and communicate with the stakeholders who are beneficiary stakeholders, right? The foundations and those areas. And agree upon what you do and not do, right? We used to have even a document as a minutes being published. This is what we'll do, this not will not do. So we'll actually do that. Then after that, it's like kind of the NDA, right? Like non-disclosure kind of thing. You do it CIA, the confidentiality, all those things you do it, and then you go and openly you go and explore, right? That's how it is. I also wanted to give a credit in the previous government, right? They created a volunteering policy. If you go to the state, Tamil Nadu government state, in IT department, there is a digital volunteering policy. So, and they actually even give you a letter, right? That you have a tenure, you can go and sign up for a volunteering thing for a particular duration. Means you don't need to sign. You can share it to your company, and then you get it acknowledged. If your company is okay, then you can continue, right?
Got it.
So that they really wanted to put a structure to that. Okay.
Makes sense.
Means that gentleman officer who's very forward thinking, who wanted to put operational is Dr. Niraj Mittal. So he's very amazing. He wanted to put a process and structure together to operate, right? That enables as well. So that gives the confidence in the organization and what you're signing up, and constant communication of what you're signing up, what you're trying to do, right? So that is how it is. I was fortunate my previous organization even completely funded the human impact project. Okay. I mean, even the technology as a volunteering hours would be different, but some of the basic infrastructure and all these things, right, were actually funded by, sponsored by the organization itself because they believed in that as well, right? So basically it matters about we all read it, right? Having a clear conversation, putting a guideline, putting a process into place, structuring into a policy, right? So that anyone who comes later can follow that. Collaboration between different stakeholders. All these things are whatever you do in corporate, that is what is also expected to do here. So nothing big thing. And after you do the exploratory and identify the opportunities, break it down. Okay. I remember working with Mr. Arag through Tech for Cities. Our first project was smart waste management. Okay. It's just four people, me, Arag, Venki, and then Subbu. Just four people. So we actually were trying to go. So the Chennai Corporation are having all the recycling things. This is almost before COVID, right? I think that this would be the first project I believe for Tech for Cities. So basically what the government did was they create the recycling thing, they create manure and all these things, right? Okay, and they collect. There's a waste segregation that is also there. So what we are trying to do was we are trying to put an inventory of what are the things that are available, right? And then put all those inventories and then expand that to any people who want to buy it. Rather it's going into dump, people can buy it and then use it. That was a very simple portal, buy and a seller thing, and then putting a routing thing, right? We actually did the prototype in like a few days. Okay. Uh, so and it also got an award for the city as well, the smart cities, right? The central government gave an award. So, so what I'm trying to say is, from technology perspective, it is a very small effort, right? But as even when we constantly gave the MVP and then constantly evolved, right? It worked out very well.
Great, great, Naren. So that is from a a employee perspective. Means when I say employee means who is contributing. But I would like to understand since you are heading the GCC of Sagent, right? What kind of policy you create so that your own team can contribute, can contribute. I think I don't want to pick up a name of Sagent, but I'm talking about any large corporate. How can they create an environment for their people to contribute to the tech for good? And is it also possible for them to align their CSR activities and resources and budget so that these two need not be disjointed? What are your thoughts there, Naren?
Yeah. See, a simple thing I will tell is we used to do hour of code. Okay. Very simple. Like there's no cost involved. There's a time involved, right? As an employee engagement, right? So every year we do it for our own employee kids. It's a co.org, right? Anyone can go and see that. It's all curated coding lessons for school students. Okay.
Okay.
School students and anyone can actually go. There's an advanced level, anyone can actually go and learn. Okay. So when we did that for our own employee kids, like during the computer science week in December, right? We used to still do it. Even in Sajan, we used to do. What we did was then we reached out to the government in government schools. Okay, why can't we extend this teaching to the government kids? Okay, one thing we were very clear is it's easy for us to go and do it in the government school, right? Uh, and after that couple of hours, the kids will go back to the routine. What we wanted is the kids should see what does it even mean working in a technology area, IT industry, companies, right? So we did it like a field tour. You can go and ask if a principal and the CEO is the education officer, right? If they approves it, you can actually provision. We did provide a transport, got like 40 kids to our office, and then we introduced some concepts to them, and then they did amazing. Okay, it's like a gamification kind of a thing. So, but we introduced the coding is not like a privileged thing. Anyone can actually go and solve problems. So, and then, so we wanted to break the mind block for the young kids, right? All the government schools kids. We started with that. The entire event would be like 2 to 3 hours. That's it. And they may be, it's primarily your volunteers' contribution, sitting and teaching with them, with the kids. That's it. From a logistic standpoint, yeah, bringing the kids there, right, with teachers. Teachers will be there. And then fundamental logistics, right? Opening up your office space. That's it. So it doesn't cost much cost. It's all about the intent to give back. How are you going to give back? So when I earlier saying like breaking it down like 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour, this is a 4 hour kind of a curriculum, and any company can do it. Good thing the previous government what they did was the current government, right? What they did was they also created an avenue, Namma School, Namma Palli, where there is a social engagement activities that you can go with the schools. You can write a note, put a request, a contact person will reach out to you, help in the approval process itself. So, and what we also did was because we have friends across the companies, right? We took this initiative and then did for a couple of other companies. We helped in that so that we also so that they also put it in their own CSR calendar and then they do it. So where I'm actually going is the resources and funding and all these things are secondary. It's about the intent, the culture of the organization, what they wanted to bring back, right? Because I also work with Matram Foundation. I can confidently say that if you break down and provide this kind of a proposal, every other company will have champions in the organization who wanted to give back, and they have done it. Okay, they have done it, and I have a greatest respect for those people. And as a gratitude, I also wanted to take thanks, providing thanks to them, taking opportunity.
Fantastic, Naren. Very, very inspiring, right? So I think we touched on many aspects. I think, without even specifically asking, there are a lot of points we touched. But I also like to understand there are a lot of CSR, activities coming as like, in the as news, but gives little impact, right? So what do you suggest saying that now how can a company can create an a goal which can really give an impact, right? I think,
See, one thing is important is when it comes to the CSR, it has to be sustainable. That is very important. Sign up something which you can actually do it regularly, consistently. right? Because when an individual or an organization or a leader is committing to a foundation, it means that you're giving a larger hope. Okay. So so promise small, but do it consistently every year. Put it a calendar. If you have a bandwidth, resources, people interested, you define the calendar. But under promise to those foundations and make it sustainable. So we are very clear. Once in a year we do it. Once in a year we do this. That's all. But every year we know that our every team members will know that this is going to happen.
Got it.
Okay. So sustenance of these social initiatives is actually very important. And then after once you do it, putting into your calendar of events is also very important, right?
Sure.
That actually gives it.
Okay. Naren, again, this question is not specific to any particular company, but normally the GCCs doesn't come under the radar of the mandatory CSR because it doesn't create enough profit, right? Because it's a more a cost center per se. But whether these large companies, the large MNCs, do they have a CSR activities in India, or how does it work?
Yeah, see, because you're touching about GCC, right? Um, the GCCs are, if you think about the company touch point and edu the overall segment, right? Uh, every organization actually works with various foundation, not just one foundation, at least couple of foundations. They come into under the CSR radar, okay? Because the India entity has been registered, so we have to be compliant with all the India rules and laws, regulations. So we do actually support that, okay? That's why it's important which initiative that you wanted to go, what is your organization goal, and that if decide like, okay, I'm going to support only infrastructure projects, I'm going to support only education related or environment. So decide on that, but women empowerment, quality education, but define what that you all wanted to do. Keep that as a sustaining effort, right? So, so to answer your question, we all come under the radar, right? And I am very well know a lot of the GCC actually do in a very sustainable ways. Okay, they when they may take time to identify the right partners, but when they identify the right partner, they go really deep to support them. And I've personally seen, I personally worked or collaborated with different team as a well-wisher and also as a beneficiary also, right? So, so yeah, to answer your question, JCC come under CSR purview. There is a definite every organization at least partner with minimum of two or even more of those foundations, right? After defining the area of where they wanted to focus. And there's a sustainable commitment. It's not just one-off kind of a thing, right? But as you also said, they don't brand it, which is the best part of it. They don't market it. Okay. Lot of things. That's why you're asking this question, but a lot of activities are happening. Okay. At least this year, we are in April. I'm sure I myself would have participated at least 4 or 5 events from other companies, not just from my company.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. So when you ecosystem, when you work collaborative, right? And when the leaders and the people are aligned, they also pull you in, right? So that is a kind of a see, that's what the doing some of these things are contagious, right? You you love to do more. So
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Got it, Naren. Naren, I think looks like we are kind of reached our time limit. Probably I will ask a last couple of questions, right? So one is like, these social causes are, it's pretty large, right? I think even it is actually for a government to do. So when as an individual, when I contribute, I like to contribute, but I don't see an impact, right? I think, for example, I want to work on education, right? But it's like such a huge thing. My contribution is a drop in the ocean, right? So, but I would like to see, hey, am I really contributing? What is the impact I can see? So how do you really think about it, Naren? Or you follow like Bhagavad Gita, I do my duty and I'm not worried about the result. So how do you think about putting your effort as well as even seeing some kind of result in a large problem like this?
Um, so there are two things. One is an individual thing, right? That is what you're saying.
Right.
We do by passion, and we may not
Measure
experience
the,
that.
yes.
That is one.
Yeah.
But from an organization CSR perspective, when you engage with these foundations, means today foundations are very, very good. They understand your area of intent. They break down the projects, what they wanted to do. They make the projects also inclusive, right? On including the employees, associates, contributions, right? The time itself, right? And then they provide the outcome as well. This is the life that you actually impact, right? One foundation that we work with clearly tells these are the students who are going to benefit based off your support. Our employees can actually mentor some of these uh, kids, and they can also sign up for specific recurrence coaching. Okay, so this is a they will be a very clear 1 hour for 3 months, very clear definition, and then they give an appreciation letter for the people who are participating. And we also capture some of the volunteering hours, right? A lot of companies does that. So you see an outcome, you see a measurement. That is when it becomes the circular, the loop, right? You start with it, you did it, there's an outcome you see, then you want to do more, right? That's how it goes. And when you partner with genuinely like who are focusing by passion, you will see more impact, Shankar. So that it works very well for the organization, for the employees, and for the foundation, and for the beneficiaries. So, for example, Martram Foundation, we don't disclose beneficiary details at all, right? If you go to our martramfoundation.com website, we are going to we have completed 13 years in that, right? And Sujit is our founder, right? And all the people have a day jobs, okay? All of them have a day jobs. And the goal is very clear, right? Supporting underprivileged kids, providing the higher education, and then women empowerment. The goal is very clear, right? So a lot of these foundations are very instrumental. The value system that they bring in is very important, right? Not disclosing beneficiaries by name, picture, video. That is one of the reason I got associated, right? And they don't go and source funds. You will not be able to find any of the bank accounts detail in the website because they have to qualify whether you're genuinely interested to contribute. Then you can partner. That is how even the partners are being defined, right? So so there's an outcomes. People are actually they are available as a when you get in, you'll find those. You'll started to see all those things.
Fantastic, fantastic, Naren. Really, again, inspired to hear. Probably the last question of our podcast is like, if you have time, resources, and like whatever I think it's like whatever you can wish can come. What would you really do tech for good? Primarily using tech. What kind of change you would like to bring it? What kind of project you will take which will bring the change? If I can put it that way, assuming all the resources,
Yeah.
whatever you wish is available for you.
See, there are two major social problems that we are going to have. Okay. Both are big change management for the society. Okay. So, one is we all been challenged in our own corporate lives how AI is improving the technology, uh, productivity, all those things, right? That is going to leave the skill enhancement part on the people who are still in schools, right? So, suddenly, uh, we may have a huge set of students or young people who need the technology adoption or bridging things, right? There's going to be a skill gap. See, even when employees are working, in every 3 months, there's a gap that we they inherit, right? But now think about the students, right? And if young people who are completed education and not employed, that is a big uh, change that we have to do a change management process. That is one part of it. The second thing that I also have in mind is the elderly people, okay, who have done good, they have a decent life, they're retired. Now they're getting older. Thanks to all our healthcare thing, there's a longevity and all these things are there. But we are not prepared for a graceful aging, adopting the post-retirement activity. There's no retirement. Let me make it very clear. The mind and body have to be active. But there's going to be, particularly in the southern states, where the fertility rates have been less, where the families have one or two kids, and most of them living abroad or in other cities. Elderly people are tend to stay, the vulnerable people who also go through a digital transformation, digital learning transition for them. And they also need to adapt to this huge change management where they don't want to leave their community, their home, but they wanted all the same life skills, right? So one side, it's an young people with proper change management, coaching, resources, they can get enabled and skilled. The other side is a vulnerable elderly care, people who need the care, affection, dignity in their life and who have been isolated or being alone, right? So both are a huge social problem. We are talking about 300 million people over the time on the elderly care. Okay. Right now, I've seen a couple of startups who are focusing. They're already saying, oh, 150 million people eventually will be in this category. We need to solve, right? Everyone cannot be put into senior living homes. That's another issue, right? So if you ask me, if I have all the skills, resources, like-minded people to contribute, I would actually support the young people studying to get enhanced and be into the industry ecosystem. That's one. And build ecosystem for the elderly care. Okay. And this is also preparing ourselves into the journey. That's all I can say. So those are the major social challenges that I see, and anyone love to talk about it, would love to partner, I think I'll be happy because there is I've already have experience in both the sides, both the areas. I've been exploring. I have a network of people who are trying to solve these areas. So anyone who are interested to have conversation, I think I'll be happy.
Fantastic, fantastic, Naren. It was, really great talking to you. Thanks a lot for the insights and, practical tips for people to take. All right. I think I'm sure, like me, my audience would have really enjoyed the conversation and looking forward to, have more conversations with you, Naren.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to thank is thanks for opportunity, like for having me, because this is the first time I'm even doing a podcast. Okay, let me be very clear.
Yeah.
Because um, and I also wanted to thank the people, right, who have been in the journey. I may be friend-ending, I may be talking to you all, but there's like so much people that I already mentioned who just wanted to solve a problem and then they move on to the next problem to solve, right? So those are the people I'm privileged to have around Shankar. I think kudos to them. Thanks for having me in their life as well. That's all
No,
I can
thanks
say.
a lot, Naren. Thanks a lot. I think for, fantastic for the job and looking all the best for the future endeavors, Naren.
Thanks a lot.